What is going on, Champion Squad? It is your boy Sultan. Welcome faces back to another Apex Legends video. Today I'll be showing you guys how to be more accurate with the Wingman on console. Thank you for joining me, and let's get into the video. The Wingman is arguably the best secondary weapon that can get you out of some tough situations, but hitting shots with this weapon is very crucial to have a good payout. So today I'll be going over 5 tips to help land more shots with the Wingman, and I'll also have a custom Wingman training course at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around. If you're new here, subscribe and join the Champion Squad. Here find some of the best Apex tips and tricks to make you an even better player. Now let's get into some solid Wingman tips. Alright legends, let's hop on board with the first tip I have, which is to lead the shot. Sometimes when using the Wingman, we all experience ghosting shots. Now the main part of this reason is not keeping bullet travel speed and drop in mind. When an enemy is medium to long range, you will have to learn how far to lead your shot. So for medium range gunfights, I tend to aim just slightly ahead of the enemy in the direction they're moving. If you try and aim directly on an enemy when they're running at medium range, you will then start to ghost shots. But if you find a good tempo aiming just slightly in front of the moving enemy, they will move into your bullets. This is because heavy ammo in general has a slower bullet travel time as compared to light. So don't forget to lead your shot whenever you feel that you are getting ghosted. Getting the right distance on leading the shot for medium to long range gunfights will definitely take some practice, but this will for sure help you hit more shots once you get it down. Now let's get into the second tip I have, which is to ADS more often. When you're using the Wingman, you need to be prepared for an analog flick once you spot an enemy. There's no other way to be prepared for a flick other than pre-aiming or ADSing. If you notice in my gameplay, most of the time when I'm using the Wingman, I like to ADS corners and angles almost like I'm predicting the enemy to be there. So in the best case scenario, if the enemy does happen to be there, you will for sure have the jump on them, and hitting your first shot should be much easier. Now the reason hitting your first shot is so important is because it staggers the enemy's movement. Heavy bullets in general tend to slow enemies when you are connecting on them. So with the Wingman, landing the initial shot will help land the next shots you take, since the enemy won't be moving as quick. Now obviously you don't want to be ADSing the entire time, but incorporating it more often will help you be prepared for hitting more shots and getting you into a tempo of landing shots. Okay, Champion Squad, now let's get into the third tip I have, which is to strafe. Oh yeah, the classic and most overused phrase in Apex Legends. Now the reason I have this as a tip is because strafing literally goes hand in hand with the Wingman more so than any other weapon in the game. Now don't get me wrong, strafing with other weapons definitely helps wonders, but with the Wingman, I feel it creates a skill in landing more shots. Strafing can be done many different ways, and there's no one correct way of doing it. When we jump into the training after the rest of the tips I have for you guys, I have a training method heavily based on strafing. It will give you a better feel for how you should be strafing with the Wingman, so that way you can land more shots. Now an effective strafe will help you dodge shots and also help you land more shots. Just one thing to keep in mind when strafing from side to side is to make sure you come to a complete stop before firing. Sometimes shots can be ghosted if you try and shoot while moving, so getting into the right rhythm of strafing and shooting will ultimately help you dominate your opponent. With that said, let's jump right into the fourth tip I have, which is controlling fire rate. The Wingman can have a fast fire rate if you spam fire the trigger, but that doesn't mean you'll hit all your shots. So knowing when to slow up the pace in between shots will help avoid missing shots. Instead of always spam firing this weapon, always take into consideration on how well the shots are connecting. If you start missing 1 to 2 shots, try slowing up the pace between shots to help align yourself back on the target. The Wingman is a gun where you want to make sure that every shot you shoot counts. Having the mindset of shooting each shot like it's your last will help you land more shots. And when you feel more comfortable connecting shots at a slower pace, you can always decide to speed up the fire rate if you're starting to get more confident. Another important thing I want to mention is to always have a confident mindset when you're using the Wingman. Downing your Wingman aim when you're playing will only cause you to do worse with it. Don't let the gun do what it wants. Take control over every shot with snappy and precise aim. And finally guys, moving on to the fifth and final tip before we get into the Wingman training, which is aiming for the upper chest. One of the best chances to avoid missing a shot is by aiming for the biggest part of an enemy, which is the chest. This also helps with bullet drop. Let's say you have a medium range gunfight and you start aiming for the legs. By the time the Wingman shot reaches the enemy, it can very well come short and hit the ground in front of them. But always aiming for the upper chest will account for bullet drop and increase the chances of you landing a shot. However, one thing to keep in mind for long range gunfights specifically is to aim slightly above the head on an enemy. The bullet drop at long range is brutal for the Wingman, so aiming just over an enemy's head will either connect as a body shot or a headshot if you're lucky. That is going to wrap up all the tips I have for you guys for today. Make sure you take everything into consideration that I just mentioned. This will easily improve your Wingman experience. Practicing these tips every day will have you hitting way more consistent shots and tearing through games. And once you get in the zone with the Wingman, no one will be able to stop you. So now that I've covered some crucial tips, I created a custom Wingman aim training course to help in-game with your Wingman aim. And if you stay till this point of the video, a like rating is always appreciated. But without further ado, let's get into the training. Okay, legends, this Wingman aim training course is designed to help you land more shots by improving your initial analog flicks and shooting while strafing. So hopping on board with the first stage in the Wingman training, which is single strafe headshots. Be sure to grab 2 fully kitted Wingmans with a ton of heavy ammo, then follow where I am in the video. The first stage is all about strafing in one direction while landing all 6 headshots consecutively without missing a shot. This will put your timing skills to the test and will improve your ability to land shots while strafing in one direction. To complete this stage, you must land 3 flawless strafes going in the left direction, then 3 more flawless strafe headshots moving in the right direction. After doing 3 perfect sets in both directions, that will complete the first stage. Now let's get into the second stage, which is basic strafing. This is all about strafing from left to right, but making sure to land every shot. During the transition of moving in the opposite direction, you will be nearly at a complete stop, and that's when you want to shoot. Strafe left, stop, shoot, then strafe right, stop, shoot. Keeping everything in a fluid motion while doing this will help you master the basic strafing with the Wingman. In order to complete this stage, you must complete 1 perfect set on all 3 target dummies. Make sure to hit every shot when you are taking down each target one by one. Otherwise, you have to reset only the current target dummy that you're on. After that, the second stage is complete. So let's get right into the third stage, which is advanced strafing. This is similar to the first stage, but instead of shooting the flipping targets, you'll be focused on the one center dummy. Start in a corner of the weapon's platform, then you want to strafe in one direction while shooting and landing all the shots until the dummy is killed. This must be done a total of 6 times, 3 perfect sets going on the left direction strafe and 3 perfect sets going in a right direction strafe. Even if you miss 1 bullet during the time it takes to kill the dummy, you have to reset that strafe direction. You also don't have to do 3 perfect sets in a row. You just want to complete a total of 3 perfect sets for each direction. This stage will easily improve your strafing skills drastically over time. With that said, let's get right into the fourth stage, which is analog flicks. This stage is one of the more tougher ones and requires some good timing. For this stage, center yourself just as I am in the video, then you want to ADS on the flipping targets while crouched. Starting from the one closest to the dummy, you want to flick and shoot at the dummy in one motion. Stay aiming in the whole time and flick your analog stick towards the dummy and try to get a shot to land. You must land at least 1 shot on the dummy while ADSing on the 6 different flipping targets. This stage will help improve your initial analog flick to center your shot on an enemy. Now moving on to the 5th and final stage of the Wingman aim training course, and that's hipfire shots. Since the Wingman has a very accurate hipfire, especially when you're crouched, I figured I will make for some good practice. So go to where I am in the video, and you basically want to crouch yourself in the middle of the most centered weapons platform. Then hipfire and kill all the 3 dummies from the same position. This stage helps you get a better feel for the Wingman hipfire accuracy, which can help a lot during real gunfights. I always catch myself a lot of the time hipfiring with the Wingman to get me through some tough close range hassles. But nevertheless, that is going to wrap up today's video for today. Be sure to take all the tips from the beginning of the video into consideration and also try out the Wingman aim training course to help improve your Wingman aim. Thank you guys for spending a couple minutes every day with me. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like rating. It is always appreciated. Also, don't forget to subscribe and join the champion squad. We are on the road to 25,000 subscribers. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and as always, this has been your boy Sultan. I'm signing off. Peace.